Okay, so we're going to do a restring and a little bit of a just a maintenance service just to check things are okay on my guitar. And that way you get a really good view of how I actually... I'm just going to turn that Satriani music off. Okay. I'm just going to shut the front door. Okay, so back to it. So I'm just going to do a nice service on my guitar. I've just loosened the strings off. And this is going to give you a pretty good view of how I actually treat my guitar. So first thing I'm doing is, I don't know if you can, well, you probably can't see this, but I'm going to bring the camera around. Can you guys see the knife edge? That little black... I'll get some sort of a pointer. Hang on a second. Okay, so see that little black edge that we've got right there? I want to keep that as parallel as I possibly can. Now, here's the trick of all tricks. A sine squeegee. This thing has served me well for many years. So I'm just going to make sure that's okay. Alright, sweet. So I put the sine squeegee underneath and I set up the bridge to where I actually want it. Now, where I actually want the bridge, and I learnt this from Thomas Nordegg, not personally, but my mark is slightly gone, but you can probably just see that there is a black, let's see if it's focusing on, can't really see it. I'll mark it out a little bit more again. But there's a black mark of 5 centimeters, which is where I actually want the bridge to sit. So I'm going to mark that again so I know. Now, you'll see in a second. Okay, so I've remarked that, as you can see now. Now, can you guys see that that is a little bit up? So what we want to do is we want to get that so the bridge is just sitting at just above that 5 centimeter mark. And if I do that now, you'll be able to see that. I'll just get my hand out of the way. There we go. So, hopefully I brought that back. Okay, so that's sitting there. So this is where I want it to sit. It's just sitting just like that. Okay, so now cut strings off. Now I always cut them after the nut. I don't know why. I think there's a reason why, but it's just something I do. And I will pull them out. I think it's more or less give me enough length to kind of like sit there and really pull them out, all pretty much in one go or 2 at a time. Okay. Now, get the excess, I immediately put the excess in the bin, because now my own OCD is going to get the tuning pegs and point them all the right way, so I don't have to screw around with it later. Okay, so now I get my Allen key wrench, which is the one that comes with the unit, and all I do, I've got all the strings gathered in one hand. Alright, now if you guys haven't got something to bolster, see how they all came out? If you guys haven't got something to keep the bridge up in a dead position, what I suggest you do is that if you're not doing a major service on the guitar, you're just restringing, then probably just do one string at a time, and then that way you'll keep the relative tension on the bridge with the springs, and so you won't have any drums with the bridge driving back into the body. But as it is, okay. So next, first things first. Because I cut them over here over the fretboard, sometimes you'll get some filings from the strings as you cut them. Make sure you get them off. You don't want to scratch the neck. So I'll get my lemon oil and I'll give it an absolute lashing of lemon oil. I don't hold back at all. I find that what it does, I mean, rosewood's a warm tone anyway, but what it does when the fretboard's completely, you know, conditioned and done on a regular basis, I find it just feels that much better. Almost feels kind of leathery underneath your hand. So literally coating it, and I'm going to let that sit. Now in the meantime, I'm going to get my polish, and I'm just going to give it a good old clean. Just going over everything. There's no fear in destroying anything here. I think you guys, if you haven't, okay, so I've knocked that, but I can reset that up quite easily because I know what my mark is, like I just did then. So you guys that are doing this, not on a regular basis, but maybe it's the first time or first couple of times, would be a lot more ginger than what I am. I have been doing this for so many years now. I really know my way around it. So I'm just giving it a big once over while I've got the strings off. I will get a straight edge, and I'll make sure that I like my necks dead straight. So I find too much relief in them makes them sound funny. Actually, it doesn't sound tight. It feels loose. It sounds loose. So as long as your frets are good. Now, while I'm at it, I might as well just do a quick thing with the fret rocker. So you guys know how a fret rocker works. Okay, there's a bit of a rock there. Not too bad. I'm not going to sit there and file it today. It's not bad enough to do. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, you guys have got to make a decision as to how often you get this done, but you've only got so much meat on the frets, so you don't want to be doing them all the time. I think the last time I did this was about 2 years ago now. Okay, so what have we got? We got 13th fret, and we got I think the 21st, was it? Let me just double check that. yeah, 19th, 18th. So 18th and 13th. Interesting. Okay. So it's just rocking a bit. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. I usually find down here it's pretty good. Nothing. 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 And last but not least, the long one. And nothing. Okay. So that's that. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So just gonna go through and polish up that headstock a bit. Just clean it up. Okay, so this is all pretty straightforward. If you haven't got one of these little fret rests or neck rests, definitely get one. Oops, almost lost it. Okay, I'm going to set that up again. There we go, set. Okay, so we're going to leave that alone. Hopefully I'm not going to touch it again because that's almost twice that I've knocked it out, which is strange for me, but hey, then again, I'm doing a video on it, so why wouldn't it happen? Okay, so I've left that on for about 5 minutes, that conditioner. So now I'm going to wipe the excess off. It's had enough time to soak in there. And it's got the fretboard itself has got such a beautiful color. Like, there are some fretboards, I'll see if I can show you one, that just out of pure neglect, when you don't look after them, the rosewood necks tend to, the rosewood necks tend to be really quite blonde in colour by comparison. So you can see how light brown that is. This is an RG450 that came in that I'm doing a setup on and then on selling that to a customer. But it's just never been loved. And so my one, when you have a look at my one, like, it's a beautiful dark brown colour. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. I mean, that abalone inlay on the rosewood broad just kind of like sets it off. But anyway, each to their own, as they say. Okay, so we've wiped down the board and we've checked the neck relief. It's to my liking. It seems to be dead straight. Now we'll see what it's like with the yeah, that's dead straight without the tension of the strings. We'll see what it's like with the strings on there, but I don't imagine it's going to be too much different. There might be a little bit of relief, but I'll know straight away as I feel. Now, I'm a slinkies boy. I've always been a super slinky. I have wavered between regular slinkies and hybrid slinkies on these types of guitars. I think the Jem really sits well with the 9-to-42s. The Strat I'll have 10 to 46. The old Les Paul and SG that I used to have 11s, sometimes 12s on it. But yeah, generally speaking, 9 to 42s on these. They tend to like it. Okay, so here's the nitty gritty. This is the way that I do it. This is what you want to see. So I've got all my string gauges over here. First thing I've got to do is cut the ball off. So I know a lot of people that actually feed it through and use the ball down. I don't know how they do it and I don't know why they do it, but they'll do this sort of thing where I kind of go like that with the ball end and then cut the excess off over here. And I'll be honest with you, I think that I don't like that idea, primarily because as you have a look at the, see if I can bring that into focus. Let's see if it focuses. There we go. See all that rough stuff on the end where the wind is? If that's wrapping around the tuning peak, I can only imagine that what it does is it cuts into that nice spool of the tuning peg, thus creating a slipping point and a string breaking point as well. So I don't do that. I cut the ball off. I'll make sure that I'm past the overlap. So usually about 1.5 inches, like that, which is about 4 centimeters to 5 centimeters in, or 4 centimeters in metric. Okay, so, and I'll do all 6 in one hit. So I've already backed off all the string tighteners. So I'm just gonna tighten them back up. So what I'll do, I put one hand on the bar like that, lift it up, take the pressure off, and then I tighten it. And I give it some torque too. So I'm not being lazy with the tension. I don't want the string to pop out, not when I'm doing a dive bomb or something like that. Okay, next string, same deal. Okay, and this is rinse and repeat basically. So back to the left a little bit more. So there we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna rinse and repeat that. Less talking, more walking. What was that? Less talking, more walking. Less talking, more working. So I'm gonna talk a little bit less. I just need to back those off a bit. Okay. Mustn't have backed them off enough when I was taking the strings out. So I'm already down on plain steels. Like I said, it's a rinse and repeat kind of an affair. Keep all your rubbish and offcuts and stuff in a nice neat pile so you can just go straight to the bin afterwards. If you don't, just do it. Any chef will tell you that there's nothing worse than working on a real messy, oily, greasy, dirty bench. So clean up as you go. Finish one job, clean it off. So yeah, again, now we're probably about half an hour into this video. Usually I'll probably be about the same, because I wouldn't be taking the conditioner off too quick. I want that to soak in a little bit. So we're on the last string already, and this is pretty much okay. And there we go. So now what I want to do, grab all the strings, send them over to the treble side of the fretboard so they don't get in the way. I'm going to feed them through. So a lot of people take these nuts right off and then put them back on. I don't. You can generally feed them through. If you grab them, go under the string retainer, and as long as you got the eyelets pointing the same way, you can generally just go straight through. Now, here's the trick. 12th fret, you'll notice that I've got my middle finger. That distance of my middle finger is about probably about 7 or 8 centimeters, right? And I'm holding it up with my first finger, so I'm literally doing that, and the string's laying in there like that. Okay, that gap I'm going to keep for all strings. That almost ensures me an even amount of tension and even amount of winds up this end here. So all I do now this is a locked nut, just straight over the top. I don't care for it to go above and then underneath. It doesn't need to because it's going to get locked down. But what I do is once it comes up, I'll fold it up so it's out of the way. That's up to almost tension. It's not bad actually. I probably got off there at about E or thereabouts. Shall we check? That's a bit flat for me. I reckon that's about E. Oh, I was way off. Bit highly strung today. There you go. Just edit that out. Some days you can get on it. Okay. Same thing again here. Swing. I always have a bet myself as to whether I'm going to get E or not. And if you are a bit tense, I do notice that you tend to tune sharp. So where I got off the bus there was quite sharp, which would, suggest that I'm pretty wired at the moment, not relaxed. I just did a meditation, so maybe I'm just high vibration. So there you go. There's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. Apart from the fact that I just royally fucked it up, right? Wanted to show you how good I was, and because I'm videotaping it, here you go. You are not God after all. Okay, cut that excess off. Okay, third string, rinse and repeat. That is the third string because it's the G string, not the third string that I've done. This is the fourth string that I've done. Same deal again. If you haven't invested in an Ernie Ball battery operated string winder, I definitely suggest that you do. If they still make them, I'm sure they will, because they are, that to me, seriously, love them. I'm not the person that advocates for technology at every turn, but hey, fuck, it's a string winder. It stops me from winding strings manually. Shit, when I was a kid, I used to do it with my hands. Never knew what a string winder was. Head winder. Didn't have one of those until I was about 16. Here we go, so we've got the B string. This one's taking a few more winds, but not that many more. I think the battery's running out on the winder. And we've got last string before we do the tune and intonation. Tuner off. I always hold that tension. Now I'll put a little bit more excess in that. It's going to take a lot more to actually, a lot more winds. It's not bad on a high E string. There's a lot of stretch in it. It's going to take quite a few winds. So I'm pulling the tension onto the spool so it winds on nice and tight without the slack. So I'm sure you guys know that. Okay, angle it up and cut off the excess. Like I said, grab all your excess, your packaging, your ball ends, which have a habit of poking you in the finger and giving you the sting that keeps on giving. Nickel. Okay, so we are now ready to tune. Now, if I've done this reasonably right, the amount of tension that I've got, it's not bad. Okay, so put the tuner on now. You can see that. Did you see that? That was pretty good, eh? the tune. Did you see how close I was on the other ones manually tuning? That wasn't bad, was it? Okay. So first one was a bit of a cock up, the second one wasn't bad at all. Now, that's perfectly in tune. I've still got to do the string stretching, which I'm going to do now, but that's perfectly in tune. Hey, I want to show you guys something. Check out my new Alien Guitar Secret straps. Don't they just look the shit? Yeah, I'll show you one. Oh. Hopefully my fat gut's not in the way. Check that out. Yep, Alien Guitar Secrets. Look at that. That's the bomb. You can get that on the site, alienguitarsecrets.com.au store. And you can get those. Only I think $29.95 Australian. So for you Europeans and Americans out there, to be a damn sight cheaper as well. Okay, so one of the things that I forgot to mention was these fine tuners. As much as I point these the right way, I have a habit of making sure that these are halfway in between when I'm doing the setup. That way I don't have to screw around with them and muck up my tuning and my intonation once I've got the strings in tune. So let's bring the guitar back in tune, make sure it's there, and we'll start the string stretching. I do hope that TC Electronic, if you're listening, I do hope that TC Electronic come up with another version of the Polytune. There's rumours that they're doing one which has got a charge function on it. Yeah, the baby choking on the battery is a bad thing, but they should also be looking at the parents, not just the company and blaming the company. That is the best tuner out there on the market. Kills every single one of them. Diodario, nothing on this. Who else? Snarks, nothing on this. This is the perfect tuner. It's a modern day version of a strobe tuner, a Peterson strobe tuner. So, which were accurate. These things are very accurate. The only thing I don't like about them, TC, if you're listening, the only thing I don't like about them is, why do you only go down to 435? Why don't you go down to 432? Is there a reason behind that? It'd be really good if it goes down, at least 10 cents, not just 5 cents. Silly. Yeah. It'd make alternate tuned instruments, and what I mean by alternate tuned instruments is there's plenty of people out there that tune to 432. I would like to tune to 432 rather than going 440 and minusing 8 cents. So if anybody is listening from TC Electronic, can we factor that into your new updated tuner with the charger? There we go. All right, so here we go. I'm going to put the strap on, and that way I've got the guitar safely in hand. Now, I don't necessarily rest the neck in the fret rest, right? So I don't want to, so don't, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm literally going to get the strings, I'm going to stretch them. So I get them to tune. And hopefully you can see this in the camera. Let's see, no you can't. So I'm going to, there we go. Should be able to see that now. Okay, so you can see that that's in tune. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it a good shake. Okay, so stretch 1, stretch 2, stretch 3, and you can see how much that lifted up at the back there. Now that'll go down to D. And what I want to do is I want to bring it back up to tune, and then do the same thing again, and it'll get less and less out of tune. So now it's a D sharp, so it wasn't that far. Okay, one more. Okay, we're in the E, we're almost there. Bring it back up. And you see that? Okay, so 4 stretches of a string, and I'm in tune, that's staying there. Same thing with the A, we'll get it tuned, and we'll do the same thing. I should go down about G. There you go. That's the only thing I don't like about the TC electronic tuner. The switch off is too quick. Okay, that's 3. Breaking one more, it won't move. There you go, look at that. That's enough. That was 3, so it's 4, 4, and 3 so far. Now we're on the G. Got the tune. Plain steels, please be a little bit more careful. Lift sharp. That'll do. So that's 3 on that one as well. Bring the B up to tune. Like I said, be careful with the plain steels, I should say. They are a little bit finer. You don't want to rip them out. Okay, that's enough. And last but not least, the high E. And there we go. Retune everything just to make sure. We know it's stretched out, so now we're dealing with the excess of the bridge, so the bridge is moving around a little bit. Okay, and we're in. Okay, now, next, let's do some intonation, shall we? Okay, so here we are. We've only been going for half an hour, wow. Okay, my little intonation tool. Best thing ever invented. Check this out. Buy one. They're a little over $100, I think, but yeah, buy one. Best things ever invented. You place that over here behind the fine tuner and into the gap behind the saddle, behind the string block of the saddle. Tighten it up just to its hand tight so it's got the grip of the string. You get your tool to let your saddle screws loose and you loosen. And that has got grab of the saddle. So I'll bring it to tune. It's going to fluctuate, but what I want you to do, go to E, and then harmonic at the 12th fret, bring it in tune, and then press down. And as you can see, if I stop talking, perfectly in tune. Okay. So now you tighten that back up so you know that you don't have to adjust the saddle. Now I wanted to do that, so I wanted to show you how this thing works. So if that were sharp or flat, I would use the grub screw here, this red grub screw, to actually pull the saddle backward or send it forward. That moves the saddle. The old days, I can remember pulling back here, right, loosening, backing off the strings as much as possible, pulling back here, undoing the saddle, doing the saddle, getting it in tune. It's about 4 or 5 step process to get it somewhat intonated. These days, thanks to Ibanez on that, there's a Floyd Rose key that's been made as well. But this one for Ibanez. Now, a unique little feature on this. This one's got a setting for the Ibanez original, which is the top bar. And then if you pull that back enough, what you can do, you've got the Edge Pro and the Low Pro settings, which take the bottom bar. Look at this. Check this out. And you send it into there like that. Excuse me. I think that's the best invention ever. So, Ibanez, Godo, whoever made these, seriously, that is an absolute must for every Ibanez repairer. It's the most perfect instrument, well worth the money. So I'm just going to check the intonation on the other strings and see if we actually need to get it. But you know, this guitar is pretty bang on. Mate, this guitar, seriously. I can bring that down a little bit. I always take the tuning from the harmonic because I know that the fret's not getting in the way. That this is just a distance taken from the nut and from the bridge saddle. So I'll do it open and harmonic as long as that settles in play. Just a little bit less. There we go. Perfect. I don't even need to intonate. So look, I'm not going to do it for the sake of doing it. Doesn't need it. I'll check my my neck relief one more time. So let's see how that's sitting. And if that's sitting okay, it's ready to lock down and then fine tune. Okay, so there's a little bit of relief in that now. So let me have a look at that. Make sure it's not too much. That's fine. It's good. Okay, so it's ready to lock down. So bring it in tune. Trying not to put any pressure on the neck. Tune as best as possible. And then go for it. Usually I do the middle. Then I'll go the treble. And then I'll go the bass. Only because it seems to me that the bass moves around the most. Ugh. Well, if you can't see that, in tune. Perfectly intonated. Set up over. Listen to how loud that is. Just like that. It's beautiful. Take these big Jules glasses off. There you go. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Catch you next time.